Hi, and welcome to the webinar. Thank you for attending. Today we're going to be looking at a deep dive into top customer acquisition and engagement tactics. I'm Eliza Fisher. I'm the marketing strategist and editor here at Social Annex. My work has been published in places like Marketplace, Total Retail, and Internet Retailer, and I'm in charge of content here. We also have Jamie Tharp with us. Jamie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, yes, great. Thanks for having me today, Eliza. I'm a channel manager with Bronto. Been with Bronto about 6 years, and I work with our partners to develop joint go-to-market plans and integrations that bring value to both of our sets of clients.
Great. So before we get started today, I have a few notes on logistics. You should expect an email in your inbox tomorrow with a link to the recording of today's webinar. If you have any technical problems, please let us know through the chat window. And we invite you to ask questions anytime by clicking the chat button and typing your question. We'll collect these and address them during the Q&A period at the end of today's session. And to go over the agenda quickly, first we'll tell you a little bit about us, and then we'll lead you through the most effective list growth tactics. Then I'll share with you what you need to know about referral marketing, and Jamie will show you a proven formula for welcome series. At the end, we'll take questions. Jamie, why don't you tell us a little bit about Bronto?
Sure thing. Thanks, Eliza. So Bronto is 15 years old now, which is hard to believe. We work with over 1,400 brands globally. And if you're not familiar with Bronto, we offer a very sophisticated but easy-to-use commerce marketing automation platform for mid-market and enterprise organizations worldwide. So what does that mean? At our core, we are an email marketing automation platform with very sophisticated segmentation and automation capabilities to allow you to automate all of the email marketing campaigns that are related to your commerce customer lifecycle. We are very proud to share that we are the #1 email marketing platform to the top 1,000 internet retailer brands. And we are proud to have received to be an 8-time Stevie Award-winning client services and customer support recipient. So our client services, customer support, and professional services time and again are recognized for the quality that we provide to our clients. We are headquartered in Durham, North Carolina, and we have offices in London, Sydney, New York, and Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is where I am currently speaking to you from.
Great, thank you. So Social Annex offers the only unified platform of customer loyalty, user-generated content, and referral marketing solutions. More specifically, we have omni-channel customer loyalty in addition to online only, and that comprises identity services as well, like social login. Our user-generated content suite includes ratings and reviews, questions and answers, and visual commerce. And then we have some very flexible referral marketing solutions as well as social contests. These all turn browsers into buyers, buyers into loyal customers, and loyal customers into advocates who then bring more interested shoppers back to you. This modular platform solves even the most complex acquisition, conversion, and retention challenges. And we back it all up with a dedicated customer success team, which supports you from initial strategy through to continual maintenance. I'm chatting with you from the office, our headquarters in Los Angeles. We also just opened an office in New York. We have a London office and also one in India. And so when you integrate Social Annex's solutions with Bronto's platform, you get a wealth of benefits. We enhance customer acquisition, as we'll talk about at length in just a little bit, with referral programs, contests, loyalty programs, social login, and Instagram shopping. You can gather robust social content for your emails with visual commerce and ratings and reviews. You can feed data from our loyalty program, social login, and other solutions into your Bronto platform. Consequently, you can market to your customers based on their loyalty status, social graph or demographic data, levels of engagement and advocacy, and more. This makes segmentation even more powerful. You can boost your Bronto cart abandonment tactics with social login, which eases the registration and checkout process. And finally, you can enhance your in-store experiences with omni-channel solutions for loyalty and referrals. And now Jamie is going to take us through the most effective list growth tactics.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Eliza. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. All right. So when we think about list growth, what we're really working on in terms of email lists is growing that opted-in database of end users or customers who have raised their hand and said, we are interested in your brand and we are asking for you to communicate with us on a regular basis. So this is a lot different than people who receive your transactional emails as a result of making a purchase or as a result of a password being forgotten or a wish list going untouched. These are people that are asking to receive communications from you about your brand and are looking to invest in your brand and potentially and ideally convert to a purchase. So one of the most popular methods for growing email databases or opted-in database are pop-up signups, or some people call them light boxes. I realize that a lot of people may find these somewhat annoying, and you certainly need to be sure to do what's right for your brand. But that said, Bronto clients have found these extraordinarily effective in growing their lists. A very popular tactic is to include an incentive like free shipping or a giveaway contest to incent the sign up. Bronto clients across our 1,400 client base, they typically see a 2.5 to 3x list growth rate within the first year of implementing a pop-up sign up. So again, I'll repeat that. 2.5 to 3x growth of database size for implementing one of these pop-up signups or light boxes is pretty significant. So despite the fact that some people may consider them intrusive, if you're using a good tool like one that Bronto offers, you should be able to set control settings such as displaying only once per customer or displaying after a certain amount of time. So if you've got the right tool, there are definitely a number of settings that you can tweak to make sure that the experience doesn't feel too intrusive for your brand while still being able to grow your database. Right, so we can go to the next slide. Great. So another method that is very popular for growing opted-in email databases is list growth through social media channels. So in addition to your website, social media channels also offer excellent opportunities for list growth in a different type of channel. Consider tactics for opting into your email marketing database, such as Instagram shopping, leveraging Facebook Connect lookalike audiences, leading to a Facebook sign-up tab, and also Twitter lead generation cards, which are an amazing addition to the capabilities offered via Twitter for growing your opted-in database. List growth through social media channels offers some really unique advantages over website list growth. And the first of these reasons is that the conversational nature of social media can offer your customers guidance and support while at the same time garnering the opt-in to your email marketing database because they're already in a conversation with you. Social media acquisition of contacts accelerates the time to engagement with your brand via that very meaningful dialogue that social media offers you that a website does not. And finally, expectations for brand communications can be more rapidly set when the contact is already engaged with your brand.
And so as Jamie just mentioned, one way to grow your email list is by using an Instagram shopping solution like shopping.me. Shopic is a mobile gallery that mirrors your Instagram and links directly to your product pages. You place a link to the gallery in your Instagram bio, and browsers are easily delivered to your site to buy and sign up for your list. Shopic also features a newsletter sign-up box on its gallery page. And users referred by Shopic spend much more time on your site, view more pages, and convert at a higher rate. Contests are one more great tool for list growth, as on average 70% of participants are new users. You can promote these contests through social, email, and your website, and they also have a huge benefit of boosting brand awareness. When we think about loyalty programs, we usually consider them solely in terms of retention. But they're also another way to entice shoppers to sign up for your list. Many sellers are starting to offer loyalty points for email signups, and one study suggests that loyalty programs improve customer acquisition by up to 10%. The receipt data aggregator is a way to superpower your loyalty signups. This feature enables your loyalty members to submit third-party receipts to you when they purchase your products from your retail partners, whether they're online or in store. Shoppers just scan or forward their receipts. Social Annex processes them, stores the data, and hands out points accordingly. Furthermore, you get access to groundbreaking information about your shoppers' other purchases. For example, if you're a beauty brand and your customer buys your lipstick and face powder from a different company at Sephora and then submits that receipt, whether they take a picture of the paper receipt or they forward an e-receipt, you'll see everything that that customer bought, the prices of all the products, your cart share, and exactly when and where they made their purchase. This gives you unparalleled insights into your customers' shopping behaviors, brand preferences, and more. And obviously this can be used for everything from your marketing communications to merchandising, pricing, and so much more. And based on our studies, about 15% of an in-store audience will sign up for a loyalty program due to the convenience of the receipt data aggregator. Now, referrals are another powerful strategy for effective customer acquisition and conversion. According to McKinsey, word of mouth is the primary factor behind 20 to 50% of all purchase decisions. Nielsen has found that people are 4 times more likely to buy when referred by a friend. Furthermore, according to the Wharton School, the lifetime value of referred customers is on average 25% higher than that of customers acquired by other means. Referrals happen all the time, online and offline. But when you institute a formal referral program, you systematize the process. You can track everything, optimize your communications, change your designs and incentives in order to get the maximum amount of new business and conversions. To briefly go over the different types of referrals that you can easily implement, there's the traditional concept in which a customer sends an offer to a friend. When that friend makes a purchase, the original customer gets a reward. And you can see that example here from Zenni Optical, which is a joint Bronto and Social Annex customer. And then Share and Save takes a one-to-many approach instead of one-to-one. You can give shoppers a discount just for sharing, or when a friend clicks a share link that they post on Facebook, Twitter, or some other channel. This tactic generally rewards more impatient shoppers who want a quick win, as opposed to your most devoted customers, who are willing to wait for a friend to buy in order to get a bigger reward. Trackable buttons simply track when a customer shares from your site. You can reward customers for sharing product pages, or you can just leave them unincentivized. Post-purchase sharing enables a customer to share their purchase after they've ordered. You can either reward this behavior or just use it without an incentive. And finally, you should know that omni-channel referrals are simpler than you might think. You can enable them through email ID lookups, receipt codes, QR codes, custom referral codes, apps, and more. And there are so many ways to promote your referral program. Dedicated email campaigns are pretty necessary in order to directly communicate about the program. You should promote it also in your order confirmation and other transactional emails. When a customer refers a friend and that friend has not opened the referral email, you can automatically resend those in order to remind them. And you should send segmented emails promoting Refer a Friend to loyal customers and to those who've signed up for the referral program but not shared. Furthermore, you should A/B test your incentives and design, among other things, and change them periodically. Chaparral Motorsports, which is another joint Bronto and Social Annex client, uses a bold design here to grab shoppers' attention. Here we see a simple yet very, very important best practice from Vitacost, which is promoting the program in their top navigation and their My Account section. We have another client, Vivo Barefoot, who we have a case study about you can find on our site that started promoting the referral program on their homepage and saw, I believe, we're calling it was a 5 times, so a 500% growth in referral signups. And then for your omni-channel promotional best practices, you should train your associates to promote referrals at checkout, use in-store signage, promote the program on your shopping bags, and so forth. You can put tablets or kiosks in store to enable easy sign-up. Integrate your POS with your referral program to use receipt codes for shoppers to reward and redeem. And also put referral cards in shipped purchases. Paula's Choice uses one of the less widely known best practices that we endorse, which is offering a dollar, pound, or euro amount off to referring customers instead of a percentage discount. The simple reason why this makes sense is that when you allow users to refer multiple friends, which you should be doing, these users should be able to accrue or stack rewards in order to feel like they're being rewarded properly. If we're working with percentages, there can be too much confusion about how to stack them, or a shopper may get frustrated if you parcel out the percentage discounts as only using one per order. So when you use currency amounts, it's straightforward and they can easily accrue them. Paula's Choice also makes it clear to customers that they'll be rewarded when their friend's order ships, and this cuts down on fraud. Speaking of which, here are a few more fraud prevention best practices. You should limit the number of credits that can be earned in a given time frame. Also, you can place a limit on bloggers or influencers using their email ID or other data. You should block the ability to refer existing account holders. Like we said earlier, only give the referring friend the reward when the referred user's order has already shipped. And you can block users by email address, cookie sessions, or even their IP address. And you can see in our fraud prevention dashboard that it's simple to set customized safeguards. You can adjust how many referrals and redemptions from the same IP address should be allowed, whether or not you want to block referrals from the same cookie session, and so much more. And then in terms of client results, we've seen a ton of success with referral programs. So a grocery client of ours gained 220,000 email addresses in 1 year and is seeing a 28% conversion rate among referred shoppers. One apparel manufacturer that we work with has a 15% conversion rate for referred friends. A clothing brand that we work with has seen that for every $25 worth of referral incentives that they give, they get $5,500, if not more, in new customer orders. And this occurred on a weekly basis and is still occurring. A novelty retailer has seen over 18,000 shares in 1 year and a 26% conversion among those who click those shares. And Vivo Barefoot, which is the example I mentioned earlier with the case study, has seen a 10-to-1 ROI with their referral program and social login. And they've gotten a 20% email list growth within a year. and has seen a 32% conversion rate for referred shoppers. Meanwhile, Palm Beach Jewelry has gotten a 10% list growth with their referral program. And so now I'll hand it back to Jamie for her welcome series emails.
Thanks for that, Eliza, and those were some great stats that you just shared. Really impressive. So now that we have talked through how to grow your list, let's talk a little bit about what to do once you've acquired these new users. So people have raised their hands and they've said, we want to be a member of your database and we want to hear from you. So what now? The first thing that you want to do is think about putting in place a multi-part welcome series. Now, again, if we're thinking about a crawl, walk, run approach to automating your email messaging, better something than nothing. So if you have no automated welcome message in place at all, make sure you put at least one. But industry best practice is to do what we call a welcome series, which would be a series of emails, ideally 3 or 4, that build off of each other and progress the client relationship with your brand in the email channel. So where to start? The first thing that you're going to want to do is identify the action that you want the subscriber to take and the key information that you're going to need to drive that action. Also, be sure you're focusing on the benefits of joining your email campaigns or joining your email database, especially if you've acquired somebody via social. Be sure that you make clear what the advantages are to being on the email list for your brand. You want to be sure to offer a different type of value via email than they are already receiving through social channels. Otherwise, why would they sign up for your email in addition to following you on social? So make sure it's unique. Second thing is identify obstacles to the action you want the reader to take and include ways for them to overcome them. So to do this effectively, put yourself in the shoes of a new subscriber or customer and think about questions they might have. For example, if I'm signing up for a running shoe brand, one of the questions that I might have and an obstacle that I should that you as a brand should be anticipating is do they know how to purchase? Do they know how to pick out the right shoe for them? So maybe this is a question that you could address during your welcome series. So perhaps one of the actions that you want them to take would be to create a user profile or to create an account that talks about whether maybe they overpronate or maybe they need additional heel support. Maybe the concern is that if you want someone to create a user account, maybe they're nervous that it would take them too long to set up this account. And if that's the case, then you would want to dispel this misconception up front and let them know, hey, please take 2 minutes to set up an account. And if they know up front that that's how long it's going to take them, they're more likely to complete that action. Finally, be sure to use low-key, polite, and friendly copy in your welcome messages. Focus on being genuinely helpful to your end consumer, to your customer. And if possible, create a sense of community through the welcome messages so that they feel like they have joined a club, so to speak. We can move to the next message. All right, to the next slide. Thank you. So the first thing that you're going to want to do once you've taken those steps to think about the purpose for your welcome series is you're going to want to collect data. A welcome series requires reliable data. Think about how you can potentially optimize data acquisition points to help you collect more relevant information. So here are 4 ideas for ways that you can leverage data to help you be more relevant during your welcome series. So first off, you can collect data during the sign-up process. Are you asking for at least basic preference data that you can use for segmentation at the point of sign-up? So look at this example that we've got here from Millie. In this example, they're keeping it nice and short, but they're at least asking for zip code and birthday, which are two really important pieces of data that you can bet that Millie is going to be sure to use for segmentation purposes later to send them. They now know how old this person is. They know their geographic location. These are very important pieces of data that they can use for segmentation later on. Another method for gaining data up front about your users is identifying the sign-up location of your users. So think about potentially adding a hidden field in your website, or potentially assigning subscribers to a list based off of the location that the subscriber is at on your website when they choose to sign up. So I'll give you an example of this because that may not be immediately clear to you. For example, if you're a shoe retailer, you might have a hidden field value on your site that would capture whether your customer is signing up from a men's section of your website or from a women's section of your website. Now, granted, this isn't a foolproof way of determining someone's gender, but at least it lets you know that that's the page that they were on when they first signed up. So maybe when you send that first welcome message, you would include an image that is dynamically triggered by whether that person signed up from the men's section of your website or the women's section of your website. Another way to get data up front quickly and easily is to capture click activity. The welcome message should be the most read message in your email campaign. Use a contact's click behavior within that first welcome message to determine what will be in the next message that they receive within that series. So not only are they interested in your products because they just signed up, but their actions within that first email are immediately going to tell you what they're focused on. So if you're following best practices and you're including a website navigation bar within the top of your email, that would be a great way to determine what they're most interested in. Again, looking at this Millie example, let's say that they've included new arrivals, women, Millie minis, handbags, and sale within the navigation of their email. You might want to segment based off of their interaction with that navigation bar in the email. And finally, one more point. Finally, request additional preference data via dedicated messaging during your welcome series. So a managed preference message is a common part of a welcome series. If you send it early in the series, you can actually use this data as another source for dictating the content of future messages. All right, we can get the next slide now. Okay, so creating your segment. Use the data that you collected in the steps above that we just talked about to create variations of a single message, such as the example of our client Hudson Shoes. Hudson Shoes used the data that they collected in those first messages to dynamically display an image that was either the image of men's shoes or women's shoes within the first message of their series. So decide what information you need to create your segment. You might need gender, you might want product categories, maybe price point, maybe all of the above. The criteria should be based on how you're collecting the data and what action you want them to take. Now, be mindful that a person may enter multiple segments, so creating a priority list will be important for you. For example, if someone clicks on both the women's and maternity links in your welcome message, you need to determine which of these two segments would take precedence over the other. You may decide that maternity has a more immediate need and then thus decide to send the maternity-focused series next to this contact. Next slide, please. So next step is you're going to want to create a stream of messages. We've got an example here of the first of a few messages that came from our client Everlast. They created one simple welcome series that accounts for only 2.3% of their total email sends, but it's responsible for 38% of their total email revenue. So I'll repeat that. 2.3% of the volume of email that they send is responsible for 38% of their total email-driven revenue, which is pretty impressive. So here we've got a stream of messages where we're starting out, and Everlast is thanking their subscriber for joining the list. They're incenting them to purchase, telling them 5% on your next order. And then in the second message here, they're doing exactly what I discussed, which is requesting that their customers create a user profile. So here they say emails that fit you like a glove, and they say tell us what you're interested in to ensure we send messages that are relevant to you. It's that easy, and they're asking them to personalize their preferences here. Great best practices being followed here. And then finally, as a third message in the series, they're sending them a reminder, asking them to shop now, and they're giving them an incentive for a flat rate shipping fee. They're also keeping that customer service tone and offering Q&A, as well as providing a means of engaging with Everlast via social media. Go to the next one. Great. So, and always remember, and this is kind of a cheat step, but be sure to always be analyzing and adapting. You can't just set it and forget it. Remember to analyze your performance and determine if there are ways that your customers might convert at a high rate in general, but also be sure to look at specific segments and how specific segments are performing. Use this intelligence to create new segmentation strategies, and perhaps even begin a post-purchase or lapsed buyer series using this data. All right, so suggested cadence and content for these 4 messages that we recommend for your welcome series. Message 1 should be fired immediately upon sign up. Thank the subscriber for signing up, provide an introductory offer, highlight the benefits of the email program and what the subscriber will get. Message 2, we recommend that you give a few days for that first message to soak in. You don't want to bombard your customer. So message 2, maybe send that on day 4. And this will be your call to action for subscribers to update their preferences in that managed preference center like we just saw with Everlast. Perhaps emphasize birth date and asking for a birth date and the fact that they might receive a special gift from you on their birthday. Message 3, we're going to want to send out on day 7. One of the best practices that we often recommend is that you use this third message to incent your subscribers to connect with you via social media. And then finally, we recommend day 10. Again, the days and cadence for this can vary slightly, but this is a great template to use. That last message, maybe this is where you highlight your most popular brands and or categories or best-selling products. And this will be a message that you need to tweak seasonally. All right, next message. All right, so with this first one, if we dive into what each of these messages in the 4-part series would look like, this first message is a message that is meant to introduce the brand. So you're saying, thank you for signing up. You're setting expectations for what content will be in the email messages, and you're also setting expectations for potentially how frequently they're going to hear from you. You want to make sure that it's like anytime you start a new relationship, you want to be sure that you're on the same page and that your customers' expectations are in line with what you plan to send to them. This will help reduce your opt-out rate if everyone's on the same page. Also, it can help with whitelisting to make sure that everyone is well warmed up and invested in. It's time to offer some initial incentives and be sure to include a call to action for the action that you want to take place in that first message. Okay, next one. Second message we recommend is that get to know you, help us serve you better, update your preferences. I know I've said update your preferences I think 5 times now, but it is really one of the single most valuable things that you can ask your client to do because they're offering information about themselves that allows you to communicate with them more relevantly. This is also a great time to offer the give kind of a help us serve you better approach, and consider, again, an incentive. Everybody loves incentives, and they definitely increase conversion. Next message. The next message is meant to encourage, and this is where we are introducing our social media channels. So you've got them invested, you've introduced them to your brand, you've found out about what their personal preferences are. Here's a great way to expand their interaction with you into social media channels and introduce how they would connect with you on those different channels. Next message. Okay, and the fourth message is meant to inspire that purchase and to inspire a conversion. Now, ideally, they've already converted, but this message, we like to focus solely on the products themselves. So be sure to highlight those most popular products and categories. Maybe highlight what other people are buying. This would be a great place if you've got, say, Instagram images or user-generated images that you want to insert into an email. You could do that here. And be sure that you're changing this out seasonally, because this, especially for fashion retailers or people with seasonal goods, this is going to vary depending on the season or time of year that it's being sent. So be sure that if your product is not evergreen, that you're updating this regularly. Next slide, please. Great. Just a couple easy, powerful tactics to remember, kind of as cherries on top of the sundae that we just built. When a subscriber opts in, be sure to set your workflows to automatically fire the first message in the series. Use planned intervals to set up a workflow to send the remaining messages in the series. So you want to make sure that's automated and that each message is dependent on the previous. And then finally, be sure that you suppress people that are going through the welcome series flow from receiving standard promotional messages. Otherwise, they're going to feel overwhelmed and bombarded with content. A few bonus pieces of content that you might want to consider in your welcome series. Educate subscribers on why they should buy from you, especially if your product is being offered through multiple channels. Make it clear what kind of experience they're going to receive from buying directly from you as the brand. Highlight unique services and benefits that you provide. If your local stores have workshops, or, again, I'll use the running shoe brand. If your local store offers custom fittings, be sure you highlight that. That will distinguish buying direct from you as a brand from other channels. Be sure to offer that incentive in the initial welcome message. And remember, it's a great idea to track which channel and location your signups are coming from, because someone who opts in from your Facebook page is very different from someone who opts in from your website. Great. A couple points of success that we'd like to highlight. Not on the high street is one of our kind of poster childs for welcome series success. Not on the High Street created I believe it was an 8-message series, which is above and beyond, but they really dove into the personalization and automation of the welcome series. The first 3 messages were all about the Not on the High Street brand. They're a UK brand. They went to every customer. The later messages in the series were all dependent on each other and triggered based off of the customer's behavior. So, for example, if someone made a purchase during one of those first 3 emails, then they would be sent a message detailing the various social media platforms that Not on the High Street uses. If a customer opened one of those messages and clicked on something but didn't make a purchase, then a message detailing the newest products on the site was sent next. Now, what about customers who didn't open any of these first 3 messages? Well, they got a more incentive or discount-driven message to incent them to purchase, because clearly they were less motivated than those who were who had already made a purchase, or who were opening messages and clicking on things but not making a purchase. So those are just some ideas of how you can treat people differently based off of their interaction or lack of interaction within the welcome series itself. So Not on the High Street actually saw 48% year-over-year growth in revenue driven from their email channel. We can move to the next slide. Glasses USA is another client of ours. They are generating 30% of their total email-driven revenue from their welcome message alone. So the situation that Glasses USA found themselves in is that people don't really buy prescription glasses that often, or I guess I don't. Maybe some people have 30 pairs of glasses at home, but I have about 2. So it wouldn't seem to make much sense to be sending daily or weekly emails to every last person on their email list. But that's exactly what Glasses USA did when they started in e-commerce. This multi-part series for new subscribers, like I said, generates over 30% of their email revenue. When a customer buys, the series closes out with post-purchase messages to encourage ongoing engagement. They started collecting data very early on via a welcome series, and that data powered segmentation that resulted in unexpected success later on. Glasses USA director Brett Rudolph actually said in the beginning it was really hard to accept the idea that segmenting and sending fewer emails based off of segmentation could actually drive higher revenue. But it did, and you can see what kind of impact this has had on their email-driven revenue.
And so to sum up our presentation with some quick takeaways, you need to communicate clearly and directly without being overbearing. And don't take your audience's attention for granted. Promote list sign up and referrals wherever you know they'll look. As Jamie mentioned, the light boxes, create a huge amount of list growth. And make sure to leverage and establish trust by communicating expectations, like in your welcome series. Also, you should align yourself with what's familiar to your users, whether that's referrals through their friends, content of the educational variety that you might send in your welcome series, or user-generated content that you would include in those emails, and so on. And so now we will take some questions. Our first one is for Jamie. Someone has asked whether or not it's necessary that you stick to the 4 messages that you outlined in the welcome series.
That is a good question. I feel very strongly that email marketing automation is it's definitely data-driven and has large parts of science, but there's also quite a bit of art involved. So those 4 messages were really a template. If you don't know where to start, that 4-message template is a great place to begin. But if your brand is in a slightly different situation, or you want to experiment with, say, 3 messages first, or just you have nothing in place and you feel like you just want to see how one goes for you, be sure to think about crawling before you walk and walking before you run. It's really all about testing and understanding what your particular customer journey looks like for your brand.
Great, thank you. And so another question about the welcome series. Someone has asked, what if we don't have any data to segment for the first message in the series? I think we may have lost Jamie.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was on mute. Can you please repeat that one more time?
Yeah, someone had asked, what if we don't have any data to segment for the first message in our welcome series?
If you don't have any data to segment for the first message in your welcome series, I would say start with a very evergreen, one-size-fits-all message, and be sure to be asking for additional data in that welcome series. Again, I think that hidden field trick I just love. But it's relevant for brands like Everlast and potentially not for others. It really depends on what your product is. I also like the idea of, like Millie did in the example, including data collection within the sign-up itself. assuming that it doesn't create too high a barrier of entry for actually gaining that sign up, if that makes sense. So you're not going to want to ask somebody to complete 12 questions when you initially collect their email address, because that's going to decrease the likelihood that they would give you any information at all. But asking for 1 or 2 key pieces of data along with their email address is certainly not a bad idea.
Great, thank you. So this one I think I can answer is, you mentioned rewarding referrals with loyalty points. Are there any other customer actions that I should incentivize with my loyalty program? This is a great question and a somewhat complicated one just because it's a very long list, and it of course always varies, depending on your brand and your audience and things of that nature. But here at Social Annex, we're huge fans of incentivizing all types of actions with the loyalty program. And so in addition to referrals, one or a few that are very common for us are contributing user-generated content, whether that's writing a review, asking or answering a question, uploading photos or videos, and you can also even reward customers for using a certain hashtag on, for example, Instagram. Other loyalty incentivized actions could be email list signups, which is a great way to cohere your light boxes, your email sign up pop-ups with the loyalty program and get more people on your list. And other ones can include, of course, in addition to purchasing, as we noted with the receipt data aggregator, purchasing at your retail partners. And really the list goes on. We have one client who, for example, gives loyalty points for when customers check into a location on Foursquare. So it can really vary depending on your audience. But yeah, and so I think we have one final question, which is for Jamie again, and it's about those email sign-up light boxes. The person asked, will the light boxes have a negative impact on our client base? They seem so annoying.
Okay, that is a fair question. Again, like I mentioned, I think the key is A/B testing. So if you've never done it before and you're a little nervous, maybe try sending it to a percentage, displaying it to a percentage of visitors to your site and not all of them, and then compare. So that would be one option, and then another would be that play around with different timing. Play around if you have a tool that allows you to display it to certain segments of your audience. Maybe just display it to certain segments and not others. So I encourage you to, it always comes back to the data. So think about ways to segment your testing, or to not hit your entire visitor base with something new at the same time.
Wonderful, thank you. And so that will do it for us today. Thank you so much to everyone for attending. If you have additional questions, you can email Jamie at her email address or me at mine. That's, for her, it's jamie.tharp@bronto.com. For me, it's efisher@socialannex.com. Or you could also email info@socialannex.com and I believe info at Bronto. And you will be getting a recording of this webinar in your inbox within the next 2 days. And thank you so much to everyone for attending.
Great. Thanks, Eliza. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.